Last time we worked on Pearl, we came out, we got her tires off, and then it got dark. Next day it rained, and the day after that it rained, and the day after that. What all that means is I haven't done anything else, but finally have a chance today to maybe get out here and accomplish a little more as we move into our next step, which is going to be getting the floating axle out and then working on disconnecting everything that we need in order to pull that drum off and get to the brake plate inside. So we're going to see how far we can get towards that goal today, right here on the MT and Me. So thanks for joining us again here on the MT and Me. Good to have you back, Nomies. So, like I said, last time we got the dually tires off, and that brings us down to just the drum assembly itself. Now this is a Dana 6070 rear end assembly on this 77 Dodge chassis that Pearl is built on. That means it has a floating axle. The outer case is completely separate from the axle, which is inside the case. You have to take all these nuts off, work out these little washer, spacer, tightening things that are in there, get them out. Then you can pull the axle out, and that lets you get to the outer bearings, which you can then unscrew and take out. And hopefully by the time you get to that point, you'll be able to pull this entire brake drum assembly off. At least that's the way it worked the last time. The only reason I remember all that is because I went back to a past video from about 4 years ago when we first were trying to get this drum off when it was still locked up, and reviewed my processes that I went through in order to get the drum off, which of course we ultimately did. So anyway, let me just take you back to a younger me sitting here on a summer's day a few years ago working on this wheel, and you can see along with me what we've got to go back through today. Okay, the next step is taking these nuts off so we can pull the axle out so that we can get to the brake drum assembly and pull it off. You know, I think this is starting to get complicated after all. Well, I had to go watch a couple of YouTube videos, figure out where to go next with this disassembly, because like I said earlier, I really don't know what I'm doing here. I've never worked on a dually brake drum before, so it's a new experience. There's these little locking rings around each one of these bolts that's holding this cap on. Now, this cap is actually attached to the axle, at least according to the videos. That goes into the axle sleeve. That'll go all the way to the differential. So in order to pull the axle out, you have to get these little rings out, and it'll pull right out. Then you can take this entire cover for the brake drum assembly off. Video said cap on these and they'd pop out, and then you could grab them with pliers and work them out. They're not popping out. Well, I've been banging on these things. I've actually got two of them that are loose. There's one. Here's another. 2 down, 8 to go. Finally, I can get the last 2 retaining rings out. And then pull out the rear axle. And now we spin off a couple of nuts that hold the outer bearings in place. At this point, this entire drum assembly should start sliding off. It's not moving, as you can see. But as I told you, it did eventually come off. And we gutted the entire brake assembly. That's why we're trying to get back into it now, so we can rebuild that entire brake system. Got new springs, going to get some new pads. Might even have to get a new cylinder. We'll double check that and see later on. Anyway, I have changed clothes into something a little more conducive to working and getting dirty, because this is a messy job. All right, these nuts are, what are they? 11/16. So, we're going to start by taking them off. Great. Just what I didn't want to do. I dropped one. Well, we'll hunt for it in a little bit. Let's get the rest of them off and not drop them. Now, as you saw in the video from a few years ago, we have these little compression rings that are in here around each nut, and you get them out by tapping on them until they come loose and work their way out, which takes a while. So let's get started. There's one. What do they say? There's always one. And naturally, it's the last one. Got them all off but this. can get it to wobble, but I can't get it to come off. There we are. There we are. Last thing. Let me show you what those are. See, they're a little sleeve with a slot in it that slides in, and then as it pushes in, as the nut tightens down, this tightens up around the bolt head itself and helps to hold it all in place. Okay. Now, if I remember correctly, we should be able to pull the axle out now. There it is. Lay it under there. And, okay. Now, we have this nut assembly that I don't have a wrench for. See if maybe I can find something to grapple it and get it started. Okay. I'm not sure if this will work or not. It appears to be. This has a slot that it fits in. Works out just like that. Another nut. This one holds the bearing in place. Because I can barely grab the nut. They actually make a wrench for this nut. Perhaps I should invest in one. I don't know. Bearings. And this whole drum is about to come off. And it's heavy. Nicked my finger. Ow. Okay. As you can see, everything is stripped out of the brake drum assembly. So that gets us down to the bare minimum. All we have left in here is the brake cylinder itself. Everything else has been removed. So, we've accomplished a lot. Got the entire thing disassembled now. All we have to look at is finding the parts, which I have in my workshop, and figuring out how it all goes back together. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm not doing that today, but it is coming up in the very near future here on the MT and Me. All right, so next day, and what a difference a day makes. I was out here yesterday doing all that work on the brake drum. It was almost 80 degrees, sunny. Here we are 24 hours later. It's about 62 and windy and trying to rain. So you just never know this time of year what it's going to be like. But anyway, we're back to wrap things up here. And by the way, you may have noticed pulling that drum off, I nicked my finger. I told you that? Well, I nicked it good. I didn't realize it until after I'd already finished working, and I pulled my glove off and my whole finger is completely bloodied up. So yeah, it's rather sore. So we're going to give it a few days to recover before I get back out here and bang it up again working on Pearl. But anyway, we've made some real progress here on the rear wheel. We've got it stripped down and taken apart, and now we get to do the bit of putting it back together. That's gathering all the parts up, putting those new springs in, getting some brake pads for it, and assembling it all back up. And this is something I've never done before, so it's going to be a learning experience for both of us. I hope you'll come along. And certainly, those of you who have experience with this, I'd like to hear from you. Give me any tips and ideas that you might have, because I have no idea what I'm doing. Nothing new about that, is there? Anyway, let me hear from you. Your comments and suggestions are always welcome, Nomies. You're the ones that keep me going and make this work. And I love you guys and gals for staying with me. Hope you'll be back next time around. Thanks for watching this week. Give me a thumbs up below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And like I said, give me some comments on the brake drum reconstruction. Okay, till next time around, you take care. Thanks a lot for watching, my Nomies. I love you. I'm Russ. And of course, we will talk later.